Today we're going to be looking at some of the dumbest, insane and diabolical techniques out there that most people tend to believe. While some of these can be true, might be true, and some of them aren't true at all. In general, we're just going to take a look at 10 of these techniques. Without further ado, let's get started. And at number 10, we have hitting your device fixes it. Well, I hate to break it to you, hitting or slapping your device when it's frozen or when it's hanging or it's just buggy actually doesn't fix anything. Even though it tends to look like it actually fixes something, sometimes it doesn't. For example, let's say you're having a bug or your phone is just frozen and it isn't doing anything, like the software is laggy and the phone is overheating, and then you start hitting it thinking that, yeah, it's going to actually fix something. Well, I hate to break it to you, it doesn't actually fix anything. Rather, you will actually damage some of the internal components of the phone, and that will just lead to another whole issue entirely. That's why when you actually start hitting your phone, you actually damage your phone more and to make the phone worse than it originally was. So, does hitting your phone actually fix your phone in any way? Is there even a slight possibility that it could? No, there is none. If you the more you hit your device, the worse it could get, and then it will just lead to more and more problems, especially damaging the internal components of the phones like the speakers or even the chips inside the phone, which are really important. And at number 9, we have using your laptops on soft surfaces will actually cause them to overheat. Well, this one's actually kind of controversial because in some cases it's true, while in some other cases it's not true at all. Let me explain. Every laptop usually has inbuilt cooling fans and also air vents to prevent the laptop from overheating. The inbuilt fans regulate the temperature of the computer, and then the air vents allow for the passage of heat, which will prevent the computer from overheating in general. So, how does using your laptop on soft surfaces like a bed or blankets prevent your laptop from overheating? Well, it's actually kind of very easy to understand. A blanket, for instance, when you're using your laptop on a blanket, the blanket will choke up the air vents of the computer, preventing the heat from passing through those air vents, and then the heat just goes back into the laptop, and the laptop just keeps on generating all the heat, and then it leads the laptop to overheat. But in some other cases, when you're using your laptop to do light work, like watch movies or actually just type documents, this is actually not harmful at all, and the laptop wouldn't overheat no matter what soft surface you're using it on, unless your laptop just has a terrible cooling system. But in general, using your laptops on soft surfaces to do light work wouldn't actually harm the computer in any way. It doesn't actually make it overheat, but it's actually advisable to get a laptop stand, which will actually prevent the laptop from overheating if you try to do anything like gaming, for instance. Gaming on the bed is actually a good idea, or gaming on soft surfaces in general, like a blanket, isn't a good idea because the laptop is generating a lot of heat and also trying to pass it through those air vents, but using it on the blanket will choke up those air vents and then lock the computer from giving away any heat. So, is this myth true or not? As you can see, it's true in some scenarios, it's not true in some other scenarios, so it's a 50-50. And at number 8, we have putting your devices in a bowl of rice fixes water damage. I actually have no idea where this myth originated from, but I do know it's really popular and it's just diabolical. Let me explain why people actually believe this works, but in all honesty, it doesn't work in the slightest. You see, rice is hygroscopic. In case you don't know what that means, rice absorbs water. But does it actually absorb water from the internal components of your phone though? No, it doesn't. When your phone falls into water, water gets into the internal components of the phone, it gets inside the phone, and also there's water on the surface of your phone. So the logic behind putting your phone in rice was that when you put your phone in rice, it dries up the internal components and the internal system of the phone and also the process system. But sadly, that is not true at all. All what the rice does when your phone gets wet is just to absorb the water that's on the surface of the phone. It doesn't actually fix anything that's inside the phone. It doesn't dry up the phone. If anything, it actually makes it worse because rice particles and dust particles from the rice will get into the phone, and then you have double problems. That is water problems and dust problems in your phone, and that mixture will even lead to worse problems like muffled audio from your phone. So, does putting your devices like your phone or your earbuds in rice fixes water damage? No, it doesn't. Please, we should all stop doing this. It actually doesn't work at all. Even though it looks like it might work, if you actually have just left your device to dry out for a bit when you put it into water, yeah, that would have been better rather than you putting your device in a bowl of rice. that doesn't fix anything. It actually make a device much more worse. So, true or not true? It's not true at all. And number 7, we have using your phone while charging it could damage the battery and also isn't good for your phone. Well, you see, when you're using your phone while charging, it doesn't make the battery overheat per se. Well, it does if you're doing something like gaming. For gamers, do not use your phone while charging. It could actually, yes, damage the battery. But just using your phone to chat, make calls while it's charging, it doesn't actually damage the battery, but it does make charging slower because activities are going on the phone and you also charge on the phone, so that would like make charging slower. But does it damage the battery? No. It does not. Although playing games or doing anything heavy on your phone that actually make the phone increase in temperature while you're charging it, especially for those phones like Xiaomi that have 120 watts fast charging, yeah, that could lead to a damage in the battery. Something. It could actually lead the battery to going bad or swollen or even bye-bye, completely gone. But in general, just using your phone to do light work while charging, yes, it does make charging slower, but it does not damage the battery. So this is also debunked. Yeah, if you always wondered whether you can use your phone while charging, oh, you can as long as you're not playing games or doing anything heavy like editing or something. And at number 6, we have more RAM equals to better performance. Well, this isn't completely true either. Yeah, they're called myths for a reason. They're not always completely true. Let me explain. For instance, let's say you have 72 tabs of Chrome, a game open in the background, and also a video editing software running in the background, and you still want to open another software, but you notice that your laptop is getting slow, or your computer is getting slow, and you're trying to open up another task, but it's taking a lot of time. Yeah, this could be the problem of low RAM. When you have low amounts of RAM, it takes time for each software to start. So what your RAM basically does is improve startup time for programs and also allows you to run more programs and more tasks in the background. So the more RAM you have, the more tasks you're being able to run. But it doesn't necessarily mean you get better performance in stuff like gaming, rendering, and video editing. All those other 3, you could look at your processor, your graphic card, and also whether it's still using a HDD or SSD. And if you're having slow boot up times, it doesn't also necessarily mean that it's the work of the RAM. You could check whether it's using a HDD or SSD, and this will actually boost up the startup time of your laptop, the boot up time of your laptop actually. So yeah, having more RAM doesn't necessarily mean you have better performance in general. It just boosts up starting time for programs and softwares and also allows you to run more tasks in the background. So yeah, you guys get it. And at number 5, we have more megapixels equals to better image quality. Well, this is actually something that's been heavily overlooked because I've seen lots of people complain that why do their Android devices have more megapixels but their pictures still turn out to be worse than some particular iPhones? Well, it's not just megapixels that make a better image. For example, the other things to look at, you have to look at the sensor, you have to look at the lens quality, and also have to look at image processing. These 3 things are actually very important. Take a look at TVs for instance. Just because the TV has a higher resolution, it doesn't necessarily mean that the TV will be better. There's some TVs that have only have a 1080p resolution, but because of the bigger size and the bigger length, they look way better than some TVs that are even 4K. Same things go with phones. The higher the megapixel doesn't necessarily mean the better the image quality. It just means you'll be able to see more detail with something like a 100 megapixel or 200 megapixel camera, but you also have to look at stuff like sensors and also image processing and lens quality. So, is this myth true? No, it's not. You can have more megapixels of up to 200 megapixels like on Redmi devices, and you would still come out with a worse picture than a phone that has just 24 megapixels or 64 megapixels like the iPhones. Moving on to number 4, we have charging your phone overnight damages the battery. Is this true? No, it's absolutely not. Charging your phone for long periods of time, even after it's reached 100%, won't actually damage the battery. Most phones these days have inbuilt technology in them that will let the phone know that, okay, it's already at 100%, it should stop delivering extra charge to the phone to actually stop charging. Even though it looks like it's charging, it's not actually charging and it doesn't actually damage the battery at all. No matter how long you charge your phone, I'm not saying you should do so, but even if it's at 100%, the rumors are spread around saying that it will fry your battery or it damages the battery isn't actually true. It doesn't actually do anything to the battery, and No matter how long you charge your phone, even though it's at 100%, for most new phones, it's actually just taking the power out and to stop delivering power into the phone. So the longer you charge your phone doesn't necessarily matter, even if it's at 100%. That means this myth is not true. Coming up at number 3, this one's actually pretty common around the whole world, is incognito mode is totally private. Well, let me just tell you guys something real quick. It's actually not completely private. For instance, let's say you want to use incognito mode because you want to access some sites and you want to check some on the internet and you don't want anyone to see your search history, and then you want your phone not to keep your history, not to keep your data or anything, and you do just that, and your phone does just that too. It does everything it tells you to do. It doesn't keep your data, doesn't store your data, it doesn't do any of that. Well, I hate to break it to you, yeah, incognito mode is not totally private. The sites you're signing into in incognito mode, like Google for instance, or whatever sites you're using, like Amazon, if you log into those sites, these sites can still track your data, sync your data to their website itself, and yeah, they can basically still monitor and track whatever you're doing. Also, your internet service provider, the ISPs, can also track what you're doing on the internet, so it doesn't necessarily matter. And in fact, yeah, Google were actually sued for keeping incognito mode data with them for a while. Yeah, but pretty sure that still goes on anyway. Incognito mode is not totally private, so whatever you're doing in your incognito mode or private mode on your browsers is still being monitored by not just the websites, not just your internet service providers, but probably even Google themselves. So you are not completely private. If you ever want to do like completely private, you can use something like a VPN. A VPN can help protect your data and also make you like hide you from your internet service providers and everything and every other thing like that. And number 2, we have Apple devices such as your MacBooks and iPads and iPhones can't get malware or viruses. Well, is this true? It is not true. Apple devices can also get malware and viruses, just that it's harder to get these viruses on a MacBook or an iPhone. It's actually pretty easy. For example, let's say you're on a site that asks for your data and you had no idea that that site is basically a scam and it asks for your details and everything. Yeah, your MacBook won't help you there, your iPhones won't help you there. You are still going to get scammed and still going to get the virus that they intended you to get. You are still going to get those viruses and you're still going to get scammed. There's nothing your iPhones or MacBooks can do against that. And it's actually easier for someone to get into your details, to get your details rather, to get into your laptop, to get into like your account and everything if you provide it to them, or if you're on all these sketchy sites. Your MacBooks or iPhones won't actually help you there at all. Yes, it's harder to hack into a MacBook and iPhone, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't. Trust me, I've seen people who have gotten their Apple IDs hacked, who have gotten their details and everything gone, who has like gotten all sorts of viruses on their MacBooks. So yeah, just because you're using a MacBook doesn't necessarily mean you are completely safe from viruses and malware. And finally, at number 1, we have the most diabolical tech myth I've heard of, that I've seen lots of people actually believe and say, yeah, it's true, is the bigger the battery, the better the battery. Well, I hate to break it to you, but bigger is always better. Let me tell you guys something real quick. Well, you can have a phone that has a 5,000 mAh battery, but it won't last as long as another phone that has just a 4,500 mAh battery or even a 4,000 mAh battery. And it's not just the battery you should look at. There are also other things you should look at, whether like the phone can actually optimize that battery to the fullest. Some phones don't actually care, especially budget devices. You can have a budget device that has a total of 5,000 mAh battery, but the software it's running, it's not fully optimized to handle that battery. It just uses the life of the battery anyhow it wants to, and it won't actually last as long as you expect it to. So it's just like I think the Galaxy S23 Ultra had a 5,000 mAh battery, and compared to all these other budget devices that have also 5,000 milliamp hour batteries or even 6,000 milliamp hour batteries don't last as long as the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Why is that? The Galaxy S24 Ultra is actually optimized well. All apps are optimized well on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and that will prevent the phone from draining the battery. It will prevent all these apps from draining the battery of that 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Compared to all other budget devices, they actually don't even take their time in optimizing anything. They just put in a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Doesn't necessarily mean it won't last. It will last, but it won't last as long as you expect it to. Just like how some iPhones, especially the base models of the iPhones, like the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 15s, they actually lasted pretty long compared to lots of other Android devices. And if you look at it, they only had, I think, about 4,000 milliamp hours of battery, or even 4,200 milliamp hours of battery. And if you compare that to lots of other devices that have like 5,000 milliamp hour batteries, they don't last as long as those iPhones. Why is that? They're optimized well. All apps were optimized well. The phone software itself was optimized well to handle that amount of battery, and it's actually not drain the battery as much as you expect it to. Well, that's one thing iPhones have really been good at. They've been good at optimizing their software and also the system softwares for their battery, so the phone will last longer. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like this video, let me know and I'll make more of videos like this. I'm ThatTechGuy. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Merry Christmas.